real estate plus years now. And in the market, when we were up against multiple offers the last 2 and 3 years, we were pretty much order takers. It was really hard for our agents and myself to really win with buyers, right? So we focus our entire strategy about winning with sellers, and there's a lot of advantages to it, right? When you win with a seller, you get to advertise that seller, you get to market that seller, you get to pull in buyers, you get to do open houses, as we all know. But ultimately speaking, you get double the commission typically, because when you sell the property, they're also probably going to buy the property, whether it be in state or out of state, right? So that's why we put our focus towards sellers. And literally everything we do, pretty much, I mean, there are some things we do towards the buyer world, buyer seminars and what have you, but a lot of our marketing is gauged towards sellers, like what we're putting out there for social posts, what we're putting out there for seminars, how we're having our conversations, how we're talking and how we're walking. So a little bit about me. Like I said, 15 plus years in, I was dual career 9 of those years, and then jumped in, took the leap, quit a nice job, and just went hard at it. The bulk of my business has been the last 3 years. Closed a couple hundred deals the last 3 years. Like I said, been a team owner since 2020, right after COVID came out. Number one team in GCI at my office. I've been on the ALC 3 years in a row. And then 2024, we just created a regional ALC, DC and Maryland. And then back in Baltimore, we have Baltimore's Real Producers. It's out of 4,000 agents, top 500 in the group, and then 2-time full graduate. I've done career visioning, all that stuff. Go to conferences and learn from that angle too. But I spent a lot of time like researching and learning and figuring out what is my critical path? Like, is this where I want to go? Am I making the money that I want to make? Am I servicing the people in the right way, right? And I'm very passionate about this. Like you will hear from me that I really, really care about helping the seller win, right? And the moment that people know you care and you make it relational and not transactional, they're going to feel that. They're going to feel that energy. We all can sense when it's transactional. We all can have been to someone else's open house and they're not totally engaged with you. They're not giving you that extra level experience that you should probably, totally gather. And I've learned from this, right? I've been in situations where, I got tons of offers, my phone's blowing up, I'm taking up buyers to show property, and I'm looking down on my phone where they're touring the room, right? And I've been in that situation, and I've lost buyers like that. So I've learned, be really engaged. If you're there, keep your phone aside and focus on who's in front of you. So we're gonna dive in pretty deep here. A lot of this boils down to mindset. Like if you really want to win with sellers, you got to win for yourself as well. You got to really understand. You got to go in says, I want to win, and it really resonates with your big why. Like why are we putting all this time in? Why are we sending all these emails? Why are we sending all these text messages? Why are we waking up extra earlier? Why are we grinding a little bit harder because of today's market, right? And we're doing that. Some people are and some people aren't. 20% of the people are doing 80% of the business. And guys, I've been doing this a long time now, and you probably all can attest this as well. September, October, November were some of the hardest months this last season for most realtors. Maybe not for everybody, right? But it was a very challenging market. Interest rates were the highest they've ever been in November in the last 8 years. So that that toppled down and changed the market a lot. But diving deep into mindset, right? You got to really want it. And the seller knows when you want to make it work, and if you don't want to make it work. Like if you get a listing, you get it signed, you do a couple open houses, you don't really put the effort in, it's not going to show, right? The client's going to tell when you don't really care. Take an extra time to explain the next 5 extra minutes exactly what's going on. So I think we know, why we're here. We want to win with sellers, right? Okay. I don't quite feel that. Okay, a little bit better. Yeah, so we're gonna dive in deep. Like I said, I know how to crush buyers, but when the market's where it's heading, right? Our team is gonna be focusing back on sellers, and it's all about sellers for us, right? Because then we get the buyer too. So that being said, interest rates are dipping, multiple offers are gonna pick back up. Sellers, I think the magic number is going to be around 5.75, 5.5. When the market opens up. A colleague of mine told me, listen to a Brian Buffini podcast. I listened to it as well. And he said, it's like a beaver dam. And, as rates drop, more sticks will come out of the beaver dam and the gates will open. So people are waiting for that that affordability, that special number to make houses more approachable. Words of wisdom. When you interview the very top people and ask what their biggest challenge is, invariably they will tell you it's mindset, keeping it strong, focused, and positive. Amid they the many challenges they encounter every day on their way to the top and staying there, the vast majority say this is their top issue, not leads but mindset. So, this quote resonates with me because you always have to have that winning mindset. Like, even if we don't have a winning season, we're going through a challenge, we lost a family member, business isn't where we want it to be, your partner isn't on the same page with you. You got to strive to keep the mindset going. And that's what's been really helpful for me. I think we've all seen this a million times. You want to have models before you can start creativity. Having the right foundations, the models, the systems, the CRM, having everyone on a neighborhood nurture, if you guys know what that is, right? Having everyone on drip, right? I was with Cody Gibson last night, flew in from Alaska. And, he said some really valuable things to us last night. And he said, we all get tons of emails, as we all know, right? And we all get spammed and, about this or whatever it may be, right? But the open rate for emails is around 12%. The open rate for text messages is around 92%. So I got invited to an event last night, and it was an invite via text. It wasn't an invite via email because I probably wouldn't have seen it, right? So Cody gave the advice to a pretty large audience last night, and he says, do an audit on your drips that you're sending to your clientele. Is that the message that you would want to receive? And I said to myself, my Happy New Year, email or whatever it may be, that's just more noise. So we need to be providing value. One of the tips he gave us, and this is something our team does as well, end of the year, send out the altas, right, for the deals that close in 2023. But not even that. Use ChatGPT or talk to your CPA, interview them, give them 5 tips of things to look out for to talk to your CPA into 2024 when you file your taxes in 2023. Like, you need to provide value. People are not about like the noise anymore. You have to provide immense value. Here's another example. Call your entire database and ask them, has your PMI been removed? Right? This gives you're providing value. When you could save someone a couple grand a year, you're a hero. They're going to remember you, right? That's going to make a big, big difference. So go through your systems and do a re-audit. It's 2024. People do not want the noise. They really want to see value and show that you care. That makes a big difference. So some of the things we're going to be talking about today, this is pretty much the whole wheel, the 7 steps of the seller service cycle. Number 1, lead conversion, pre-listing, listing consultation, service and marketing, offers and negotiations, contract to close, and then the post-close system. It's a well-rounded circle. We talked about mindset, and we're going to get the most out of this experience. So one of the hardest things, guys, that I find is lead conversion. Like, we get a lot of leads, right? And there's always some sort of objection. I'm not ready. I need to talk to my partner. I don't have enough money saved. My credit score isn't where I want it to be, right? And I've always been an advocate of constantly Minecrafting with language to making sure I'm listening very carefully to know how to like spring back on that conversation. So whenever I talk to a seller, I said, well, hey, when is the last time you bought and sold real estate? That gives me an understanding of like where they are in the spectrum, the galaxy of like, what do they know about real estate? And then I ask them, what do you know about real estate? They might say, we haven't sold a house in 20 years. They might say, we were just in a process, our daughter bought a house. Oh, great. How was that process? And now they're communicating with me. Now, if I didn't ask them how that process was in that particular example, they might say something enlightening that I might be, well, I didn't know to take it to that angle. Now I know their pains, right? We've all heard the pain and pleasure conversation. Now I know their pains, and now I know how to dissect the conversation. So I always want to try to get them to speak first. This way I know how to like convert that lead better, because if I'm on page one with them on page one, my I'm going to build a stronger rapport with them off the gate. So if you guys aren't tracking your numbers, definitely track your numbers. Our team is doing it. It's making a big difference. We're tracking how many phone calls we're making to prospects, how many phone calls we're making to, we call it HOTS, nurtures and watches. Pretty sure you're familiar with that language, right? Yeah. All right. So how many, raise of hands, how many people are tracking their numbers currently? 3 people? 4 people? All right. What's the value of tracking your numbers?
Well, I think the value of tracking, at least, I mean, you can see where the business is coming from, what's working, what isn't working. There's a lot of metrics that connects to tracking your numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're calling all your HOTS and they're not going anywhere, they're probably not a HOT for some sort of reason. They probably need to be classified as a nurture, right? And if you call your nurtures, like wake them up, rates are going down, shake those trees. Why were you a nurture before? Read back on your notes and remind them, hey, look, once upon a time you said you want to buy a house in 2023. What's happening? It's 2024. Rates are lower, right? So this gives you the opportunity to shake those buckets in different directions to figure out how to change your dialogues. We can't call them scripts anymore here, right? Yeah. That's what I'm hearing, yeah. All right, so our team focuses on, we have listings, leverage, and leads, of course. So, we get our leads through open houses, we get our leads through door knocking, we get our leads through mailers, we get our leads through seminars, we get our leads through social posts, right? And then we get our listings through all those means as well. And we're very active in our communities. We like to give back and things like that. And then, of course, we have leverage, right? We have a director of operations, and then we have admin does transactional support for contracts. We have 4 agents on the team as well. I forgot to mention that. And we keep busy. All right, so pre-qualifying a listing lead. Before we got to the property, we want to get a sense, are they ready, willing, and able, right? We want to get enough information on the phone. This way, when we go to the property, it's not a total bust, right? Get a sense of what's actually going on. What type of sale is it? Is it an estate sale? Is it a standard sale? Are they underwater? Is it a divorce? Are both parties going to be there? Because I've been in so many situations, my spouse isn't going to work at 5, but I want to meet you at 2. Well, I'm sorry, that won't work, right? So I want to be able to meet you both, right? Well, great. Does tomorrow work at 5:30, or does another day, right? I want to be able to meet you both, because what's going to happen, the one spouse meets with me, and she plays the telephone game exactly what I said, but didn't say the way I said it rather, and explains to the husband. And the husband's like, "No, I think the house is worth 550," but he never really heard the justification of why the house should be maybe priced at 499 to get multiple offers, right? All right, guys, this is one of my favorite slides here, the lead conversion model. In 2023, you would capture some business, you would connect with some, but actually most of them went into the cultivate bucket. This is another phrase of saying nurture or watch, or the hots that aren't so hot, right? So this is the time to shake up this bucket. I'd say the majority of your business is probably in the cultivate bucket, even right now, right? People are starting to wake up. I think, as rates dropped in November, a lot of people said in December that we're looking in the fall that they wanted to close and buy a house in 2023, right? And then a lot of people said, hey, let me file my taxes. 2024 is my year. I hear interest rates are dropping. Let's make some moves. So when a lot of people are going to be falling in this bucket, you have to find out who's in the bucket and find out the right dialogues to share with them, how to open them up to the world of where the real estate is right now. They might say, hey, what are rates? Oh, great question. What has you asking? Right? So then we go into that prompt. But I mean, there are so many advantages to what you can do to get help a seller move and make that move. They don't want to sell their 3 and move to the next property. They can hold that property. They can rent it out, make passive income. I always say the more educated you are, the sounder decisions you can make, right? So if you explain to someone what your toolkit is, what your options are, Like here's a cash offer, right? I have an investor that can buy your property. We can put your property in the market, expect a bidding war at this number, or we can list at this number and then expect to hang out in the market a little bit. Where would you like to go, depending on your motivation, right? So we have that conversation with them. We explain them the options that they're in, and then we can come together and make a decision. We obviously narrow it down from there. But a lot of people are in this bucket, right? And it's your job to be the fiduciary to help them understand what their options are, right? Buyers can do a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down, shop for heavier days on the market. Maybe the seller never got an offer that's listed at 600, maybe should be 525. The seller's not realistic, doesn't have a realtor that's educated, doesn't just, I got the listing, it's their aunt, right? So then they, put the property in the market for 600K, it sits for 75 days. And now it's still priced at 600 because the agent and the aunt don't know how to communicate. But meanwhile, we have a buyer that's just in the property, but they don't want to buy that property. They don't want to sell their 3% rate, but they really love this house, but they are only approved up to 550. But I look at the numbers, be like, that neighborhood all day is 575 max, and they're at 600, right? So just blowing that out and having those conversations will go a long way with your sphere. Another thing we do on the phone, like when we build a strong rapport, mostly with everybody, there are times where the conversation doesn't morph the way that we want it to go, and we don't get enough feel in it, right? If you call somebody and the conversation feels rushed, then try to schedule another time you can connect with them. But if you build a good rapport, like we want to work with people that care for other human beings, because that's what we do. We care for other humans. If you build that genuine rapport with them and you feel it reciprocate, ask for a referral. Birds of a feather flock together. They're most likely going to have other caring people that want to hang out with other people like ourselves, to help. One of the things that we did as a team, right before Thanksgiving, we do it every year. We do a food drive, and we hand out grocery bags, and we typically get them, the paper bags free from the grocery stores, and we staple a little flyer like this, not Quantum Leap, of course, but giving back, thanks to the community, and it says like, we'll collect this food, put your donations in here, and we'll collect this food. We'll donate it to a food bank, and our entire team did it. And the purpose of it is like the people that are going to put food in that bag are going to care for other human beings. And if they call us, that's who we want to work with, right? It makes a difference. We already talked about that one. All right, so we capture a lot of leads in a lot of different ways. Ask for referrals, meet people at open houses, meet people out at conferences, meet people at the pet groomer, soccer practice, where it may be. But we have to find a way to connect with them. Mirror and matching. We're not going to connect with everybody, of course, but we're really going to connect with some people. And the people that we're really going to connect with and resonate with, those are the people we want to travel far with. And they're going to have some sort of path to close, or they're going to be caught on this island for a little bit. We have to decipher, if they're going here or they're going here. Closing the appointment is important. Of course, you want to, screen the appointment before go out to the property, but ultimately, we're going to dive in deeper what the listing appointment looks like and stuff like that. But when you're at the property, you want to give them your undivided attention and, help them out from start to finish. And really read the room, right? I want to talk about this, about closing the appointment. I was in a listing appointment a good while ago, and here's an example. And, the husband was talking, the wife was talking, and we sat down, we did a tour of the property, and we were going over the numbers, we were going over the comps and what have you. Husband's still chatting with me, and the wife was really chatting in the beginning as well, but the wife was really silent when we were talking about numbers, and her face was turning red, and I read it. And I called her out. I didn't say your face is red, right? I said, I forget her name at the time, but I said, Sally, look, I see you're a little quiet now. Is everything okay about the numbers? Right? I talked to the elephant in the room because she was quiet, right? And at that point in time, like, I controlled the conversation, and that made a big difference, because if I ignored that, the elephant can one day attack me. I list too high, I listed the wrong number, I didn't justify, why we're listing at this number. And then, maybe I don't get a referral, right? And that out-of-state agent. So if I let him down, I'm not going to get more referrals from him. So it's important we speak up in these situations and we really, really pay attention to body language, how people are even texting to you and what they're saying on the phone. Like if they text you essays and they hit you up with 2-word responses, I mean, maybe they're driving, maybe something's going on, but you want to try to get on the phone with them. I mean, we've all gotten a little paragraph before. I'm not even responding to that. Let me just call you. Right? We've all been there. Right? So get to the root of it so you can continue to close. Anybody want to read this for me, nice and short?
The right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Ask for it.
Yeah, this is the presumable close approach. Like if you're not asking for the appointment, you don't know if it's yes or no, right? Like I mean, I used to walk in to appointments. I hope I'll get it. I'm not sure if I'll get it. There's other realtors lining up at the door, and I text the realtor, and she says, "You got to wait your turn," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll wait my turn." So go in with the right attitude, like you're gonna get it. Because you deserve it, right? And if you don't feel like you deserve it, maybe you won't get it because you don't feel that way. You got to speak it inside. If your inner voice always tells you, "I can't do it, I won't do it, I'll maybe do it," that's what you're telling yourself, right? If you truly tell yourself, "I'm going to win, I'm going to achieve, I'm going to get better. Why did I lose this one?" And I've talked to my for sale by owner listing appointments. I've talked to the deals I haven't gotten. Why haven't I gotten that deal? I've asked them. I would really appreciate, I know I didn't get the deal, but why didn't I get it? I want to know. So that helps me be equipped for my next conversation that I have with the next seller. And I've actually gotten a lot sharper from that because people have given me actually really good advice. You said the wrong thing here, right? All right, so I don't know if we want to do this, but we can. It's kind of like a bold activity. Role play with your partner, take about 10 minutes. About like calling a seller back and forth. What does that initial rapport conversation look like? Let's develop it. The first phase will be like a nurture. You haven't talked to the seller in a little bit. We'll buddy up. Take about 10, 15 minutes if you can. And we'll have script practice, dialogue practice about what this conversation is look. And for the seller, give some pushback, give some objection handlers of why you're not ready to commit that appointment. And then, try to work something out with them. Does that sound fair? All right. So it's 10:24 now. We'll start back at 10:35. So take a couple minutes and script with your partner real quick. What's that? Yeah, we don't have it here today. So just act like you're scripting with a seller lead. You want to buddy it with him?
Is this us calling or are we in person?
Calling. You guys are calling. You guys are calling. It's going well. Oh no. Let me just... Hey, well, yourself?
Good.
I made
Nice
it.
To meet
Yeah.
you in person.
You as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
We had a little bit of a coffee incident.
It's okay. It happens. Yeah. Yeah, and another tip I'll give you, we'll talk more about email marketing, but another tip I'll give you when it comes to email marketing, when you send it out to your database, if it doesn't make them richer, smarter, or move faster, it's not valuable. Yeah, it has such a low open rate, but like if we pair that up with value and then we follow with a text, like they're going to want to open up our emails, because otherwise we're just noise. Yeah.
What's your biggest social media platform?
Probably Facebook. Yeah. I'm 37, so a lot of my people own houses, right? The baby boomers are 65 to 85. They're great. Yeah.
I don't even have a good
Yeah, you need to get on there. All right, guys, we're gonna go and start back up. Hey, gang, we're gonna go and start back up. If I can hear from each group that talked real quick, give me one objection. We're gonna talk about them. We'll start back here in the back here. Just give me one.
Had trouble with past agents and heard that other agents kind of try to take advantage of sellers. We did a FISBO kind of.
All right, so past agent experiences. Does that sum it up? All right, was this the trio over here?
It was just Jan and I.
Okay. And what was your objection?
So I guess the objection with him was his wife was really connected to the home. Her dad built the home and really didn't. He wanted to sell, but she didn't.
All right, so partners not on the same page. All right, front group here.
Alec threw at me no inventory, nothing to buy, and also interest rates are higher than what he's got.
So no inventory, high rates. That's a classic. All right, who's the next group?
It was an open house follow-up, and the objection was had to talk to the wife to schedule a listing appointment.
All right, so just pushing to the side.
But I didn't let him.
We scheduled it, and I would get back to her.
I did get the appointment.
Good, I like that. So if she got the appointment, I don't know about this one then. What I guess what we call that, stalling then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
I was going to ghost her.
Okay, we have a good. We're building a good list.
I'll repeat, he did not.
We're building a really good list here. Go ahead.
Was interested in selling, but had Zestimate.
Ooh.
What the house was worth.
Ooh, Zestimate.
Talked through that, and then we set up an appointment.
Zestimate. That's a naughty word here. All right. Taylor.
I was the lead that requested evaluation on my home, but my sister's friend's a realtor.
Okay. So, relationship with other realtor. Next group.
Not wanting to show the property due to there being an alcoholic in the basement.
Ooh.
Oh, how lovely.
I've never had that objection before. I'm just gonna. We're gonna categorize that when partners not on the same page. That's a tough one. Drinking's tough. Yeah. All right, this group over here.
I think like the stalling thing, it's just kind of not even
really giving any real, I guess, kind of like the ghosting thing. It was, like, you can't get anywhere with them, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you just kind of have to ask questions and unpack it if they'll answer the questions.
Would we agree that these are probably, these two right here, probably the most common, right? I mean, these do come up, right? But these are the most common, right? So it's important to have dialogues for the rest of these, right? But it's very important to know how to navigate these conversations. So one of the ways that we dialogue, oh, great, yeah, I understand, the rates are a little bit higher right now. We tell them, have you thought about shopping for USDA financing? Getting 100% financing, have more cash on hand. Have you talked to your lender about the forgiveness for refinance down the road? What does that forgiveness time frame look like, right? What's important to you, renewing your rental or getting your next property, right? Pain versus pleasure. How long have you had a rental property? 3 years? What's the rent? $2,000 a month? $24,000 a year, right? I mean, add that up. Explain to them, we can build this equity. My seller that bought in this neighborhood in 2020 paid $350. This house now is worth, $395. They have $45,000 in equity. Do you want to be in that? Do you want to be in that room, right? So that goes a long way. Stalling, you got to find out what the hell they're stalling about. There's something. I'm waiting for kids to finish school. Okay, that's a legitimate one at times. Daycare's too expensive, right? That's another big one. I mean, it could be a multitude of things. Zestimate, I find that pretty easy to overcome. You explain to them that Zestimate, it's a tool out there, right? But we have a track record, and you show them the data of our track record. You also show them the data of that neighborhood. These sellers are getting 100% of list price by listing at this number. These sellers are getting 92% of list price because they listed XYZ. The absorption rate is this. This is how many days on market these properties are featuring, right? And you say to them, hey, we go on the market of this, you expect to be under contract in 2 weeks. Your properties are going under contract, what, 2 weeks or less here right now? If they're priced right? Right? And your average price point is what exactly?
High twos, low threes.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, that means that, deals are probably moving because it's a lower price point. Probably more people can afford them. Partners on the same page. I like to build the conversation together. What would it be like? I'll counsel them. What would it be for us to be on the same page, and show them like pain versus pleasure. Like go into that deep dialogue. She wants this, he wants that. What would be a good compromise? Clearly, I'm here. There's a reason why I'm here. How can we help you get to where you want to go? Well, I don't like my yard. I don't like my basement. I don't like my neighbor. The kids are getting too old. They can't share a bedroom anymore. I won a listing appointment recently, and sad. The mother was on drugs, and the family members, the grandparents were watching the kids, and I toured the property, and they were twins, separate sexes, and they couldn't share a bed anymore. It was only a 2-bedroom house, and they slept in their room, of course. The grandparents did, and the son at 12 years old was sleeping on a concrete floor in the basement. It's sad, right? So you really get to see how people live, right? And when you see that, you want to say, I can help you. And you really want to mean it the way you say it, because they can read it, right? They can read it. It makes an impact.
Can I ask you, how would you have handled, my father built the house and my father's wife, my wife's father built the house and she's attached to it?
I would just dig a little deeper into that, right? I would dig a little deeper. What does this mean? I know you've been here a long time, and if your dad built it, what does it mean to start your next future? Do you really want to make this move? Like, what's important to you about staying here? Well, my father built it. Okay, I hear you on that, but what's also important to you about your next move? Well, we're pregnant. We're about to get a job. We can't afford the house anymore. Most likely that's not the case, right? Because dad built it. Probably cost 7 raspberries, right? So it's, I mean, you got to really figure out where they are. And once you figure out where they are, you can then springboard, and you can really, really, truly help them. If you don't have all the ingredients, I have conversations with lots of agents, and they're saying, hey, I'm in this scenario. I probably shouldn't be doing all this stuff, but like, I'm in this scenario. How do I get out of it? Or what's really going on? What would you do, right? And I give them some, advice, of course. And I always say, consult with your broker at the end. just a CYA. But, when I peel back the layers of the conversation with a seller or another agent, I'm like, oh, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me this. You didn't tell me that. And then I start to like form this storm of like, what is the best path for you? And then I'm able to have that conversation confidently because now I know more piece of the puzzle. And I say, look, if you could be more transparent with me, I could be more transparent with you and we can all win together. And like when we open up the conversation in that way, it changes the way they think a little bit. Like they're not so guarded to not share with me what they think they should share, but they're not willing to share. It needs to be an open conversation because you can truly help them that way. And if not, you're not going to be able to truly help them because you're not a mind reader.
My reply was going to be to the partner not on the same page, and we talked about this afterwards, was, she's not attached. I did get the appointment because I wanted to talk to her. She was not attached to the home. Maybe we can rent the home and she can keep the home.
Yeah, that's another option too.
He can get his new house that he wants.
So I love what I love that you said that, right? It gives them options. If you do not give them options, they're going to be upset. I didn't know it was an option. Well, you didn't know you could rent your house. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? But like, it's important to at least tell them like these are your options, right? And I go back to that famous line I always say: the more educated you are, the sounder decisions you can make. You literally want to share the toolkit with them. You can rent it. Here's your passive income, what you're going to make per month. You can keep it. Here are the downsides. Here are the plus sides. It could get neglected if it's well in septic. That could be an issue renting it. Things like that. How old is the roof? Things like that. Pay attention to maintenance. This is going to be could this be a money problem down the road, right? Because everything's super old. The HVAC's 30 years old. I mean, point these things out to them. I'm sure they see them and maybe pay attention to them, but like we have a lot different eyes than they do. Like when I go to properties, I don't just use my eyes. I use my nose. I use my feet. And I mean, I say something like the group back here was talking about dealing with a hoarder. That's tough. That's tough, right? There's a polite way of saying it though. Clean up your shit. Yeah, it's definitely tough. It's definitely tough. So, you got to be real with them and be upfront with them so they know how to act in this market. Because if not, this is how they live. This is how they're conditioned. They don't know. They really don't know any better, and they need our guidance. Anybody else want to talk about any of these other ones? All right, move on. Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Did you have a question over here?
I don't know, the relationship with the other realtor. That comes up, like, how you-
Yeah, so I would just diffuse that, be like, well, what is it about this other realtor? Clearly, I'm talking to you. Can you tell me more about this other realtor? And then, take that conversation next level. Well, she's my aunt. She's been a realtor a long, long time. Well, why are you calling me and not your aunt? Well, she doesn't pick up her phone. She is new to the business. She's traveling away. She's pregnant. Whatever it may be, like figure out what it may be, and and have respect for the family member, of course. But say, hey, look, there's a reason why I'm here. I would love the opportunity to work with you, but what is it that you're bringing your family member into this? Because that's not always the best choice for them, right? I wouldn't want my someone in my family doing real estate with me, just depending who it was.
You did a great job of overcoming the objection just in, there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gathering as much information as you need in the market so that you're confidently making a good decision for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the percentage is 72% of sellers sign with the first realtor, right? So you always want to try to be the first. It doesn't always happen that way, but when I get a call, I mean, I'm putting on the suit, walking out the door. We're like superheroes right now. We got to get out. We got to be quick. We got to be quick. And like, our team, we're a personality brand, and what I mean by that is like when we get in front of the consumer, we build the rapport. We mirror and match. If they talk real slow or shake real soft, we follow those angles. Yeah, chameleon. Yeah, we blend with them, right? We want people to feel comfortable. build that rapport, take that tour, go through the property, talk to them a little bit. We'll dive in deeper on this as well. Second opinion's brilliant. Yeah, we use that as well. I've already met with a real, XYZ first realtor. I want to meet with you. Great. Second opinion's great. Have you signed with that realtor? That's another question I ask. Sometimes they have. That's a different conversation. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, I think my clicker went bad here. We're having technical difficulties here today. Thank you. No, I got it. It literally, it's a nice little beep sound for the morning. All right, so I guess as we're waiting, what else? I mean, we're going to be talking a lot of things, but what else do we want to cover here today? With winning with sellers, because we have a lot more slides to go over and a lot more conversations to have. Or we're waiting on the clicker thing. What are you struggling with sellers right now? How to get leads?
Nowhere to move to.
Nowhere to move to.
No homes that they like to, move into.
I mean, it's going to fall a lot over here. All right, what else? Why? I mean, these are pretty much the objections, right? Nowhere to move to is definitely one of them. We'll have a good way to fix that. Anybody else? Oh,
I have some investors who bought too high or over renovated and they're like, just their break even is just not feasible.
all right. So no equity.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then combined with some of them are trying to do it off market, so it's getting stale. I mean, people are
Mhm.
still seeing it on Craigslist and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, great.
then they try to throw an agent into it and they think that like rejuvenates everything and it's just the whole thing is sketchy.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough. There's a way to work around that too, but yeah. What else do we have? Challenges with sellers.
Way higher than they should.
Okay, way higher. Anything else? Struggle with sellers.
I've just had this happen a couple times where you almost have to make a decision if you want to work with this particular client or not, because you need to draw a line of how you want to be treated,
Yeah.
essentially. So that's sometimes a struggle with sellers, but
Somebody being rude or dismissive.
So what we call that, disagreement with other party, with seller. All right. Any other issues working with sellers?
I think this might have come up, but like, what about like an uncooperative tenant?
Nate here. Yeah, it's a tough one. Any other struggles with sellers?
I think one that I face a lot, and I'm from like Perry County, so this is a smaller area where I'm at mostly, and it's small town vibe, so everybody knows when everyone's gonna sell. So a lot of times, like the seller will kind of like hear from, oh, so and so over here is gonna buy my house, and then they kind of like hang on that for a while, which I can generally like once I do get in front of them, we can talk through it, and I can provide value and show them why it's a visual list, but the like small town, like getting ahead of it before they start talking about it to the neighbors is really like, how do you get in front of it before that?
So should we call that village chatter?
Sure, yeah, sounds about right. Sounds about right. Really just knowing how to intercept that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, these are all great. This is a good solid list here. We'll keep that going. I think the clicker's working now, hopefully. Let's see. All right, great. All right, we just did all this. We've already talked about that, like, talking to older leads in that bucket. So what are some of your ahas so far that you've taken away?
Coming in with an attitude of, I can help you.
Hmm.
I want to help.
Genuinely, I can help, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about anyone else? Ahas so far from the first half?
Some of the injection answers,
Hmm.
how to deal with it.
Okay.
Just how to come across relational versus transactional.
Yeah. You got to really watch that line. Sometimes we get too many transactions. We just fall in that transaction trap. Be really relational. Like call them out of the blue. Yeah, I mean, you're done inspections. You're done negotiating. You're in the middle of the transaction. You're waiting 2 weeks till settlement. Give them a shout. Check in. I mean, that'll show that you care. You don't have to make that phone call. Did you want to measure for anything? Can I let you in the door? Did you want to measure for a couch? Did you want to measure for blinds? Right? That will make a difference.
What was the open rate for texts again?
92%.
92. That was
92. Texts get open so much. I mean, look at us even. Like when I come into Monday morning, I have 80 emails, 60 are spam, if not more. And I unsubscribe them. You just get so many of them. All right, so step number 2 is pre-listing. You want to have a pre-listing package. This is where you send them something of value that you're going to be talking about in the conversation. Where is value right now? How's our process work? If you don't have one, there's one on KW Connect. You can download it. You can probably make your own on ChatGPT. I definitely like this one a lot, guys. The slide here, your value proposition. Your value proposition speaks to things you do for sellers that satisfies their needs, adds value to their lives, adds value to their transaction. Now, if you see the word value, I don't even like the word satisfies. Satisfies means like, I made it to settlement. Like there was just, I made it there. You satisfied my request. I hired you. You took me to settlement. See you later. That's it. That's the way most realtors handle the transaction, right? But if we're providing value, and the client knows we're providing value, they're going to feel that value. We're doing an extra layer than what they don't expect. KW Luxury talks a lot about surprise and delight. So the term behind it is you need to notify your seller, or you need to tell your buyer about a certain situation, but you surprise them. And that could be, here's an example. You get a listing sign, you mail them a candle. And the little note that says in the candle, we give you this candle. Our goal is to have your property sold before this candle burns to the bottom, or whatever that line exactly may be, right? There's a more eloquent way of saying it, of course. But the plan is they didn't expect to get that candle. And you didn't have to send that candle. You didn't have to give them that note, right? But that's the extra layer that sets yourself up amongst what others aren't doing. So your unique selling proposition, known as your USP, is about features and benefits you bring to the table that set you apart from your competitors. Like that's kind of like the candle thought, where you send them constant updates on what's going on with the market if they're wanting to list. You put them on the neighborhood nurture. You can kind of see who opens the emails. You can view who's watching you when they're touring the neighborhood nurture side, right? So and then you call them. Like our CRM will alert us if someone's viewed something 3 times. Oh, why are you looking? Right? So we can then have those conversations. All right, so we're going to dive into chapter 3, the listing consultation. How are we doing on time? Yeah, okay, we got plenty of time. We'll take a break at I guess 12:15, just so everyone knows. All right, so prepare yourself. 5 strategies for a great listing consultation. Can someone read number 1 for me?
Know your scripts and
Number 2,
Understand the market.
let's keep.
Use communication techniques that build rapport. Be a consultant, not just an agent. Build an appointment toolkit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about this. Number 1, this is a little bit outdated. Should say dialogues, but yeah. So definitely got to know your dialogues and your materials. Know your listing agreement. Know your net sheets. Know your comps. Know your days on market. Know the average price point. Know if you list at this, what does this expect? That ties into understanding your market. Use communication techniques that build rapport. Find out what is their best channel to communicate on. Is it email? Is it phone? Is it text? Is it a certain time? Like go in deep and build that like niche of a conversation with them so they can really resonate and relate to you. Because if they're working on, I have plenty of people that have government jobs. They can't even really text you. Hit me up at 5:30. Okay, how do you want to be talked to? Probably on the phone, right? What have you. Number 4 is one of my favorites. Be a consultant, not just an agent. I mean, there's so many agents out there. So many agents giving agent advice. Like the way that we truly become a consultant is we know the full picture of the situation. When we know the full picture of the situation, we can fully guide them. Like we picked up a massive client recently, and he just wanted to flip properties. Now he wants to hold properties as well. And now his dad is involved to buy apartment complexes. And now I'm going to be listing his fiance's house because now they're getting married. Now I'm helping out the entire family now. And when I was on the phone call with the fiance, it was my first time speaking with her. I was saying, hey, I'm so thankful we're able to talk. Tell me more about your vision of why you're selling this property. Well, yeah, I mean, we're getting married. You know that, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay, great. So after you sell this property, you're going to move in together. What is your ultimate plan with real estate? You're selling real estate. What is your ultimate plan? Right? They want to own a farm. So now I have buy-in for the vision, and I didn't have to go through that channel. I could just be like, great, let me list your property. Congrats on getting married. Kill it. Have fun. Right? But like I took that conversation to another level. I built that rapport. I showed that I cared, and the fact that they told me their dreams of real estate, and I love it. I can't wait to help them find a farm. Right? It's going to take some time. They got to sell out more flips to buy that farm. But I mean, this is just going in deep, right? I mean, I can make this conversation simple, or I can make it, to the point, like I can truly help them. We talked about this. Build an appointment toolkit. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of people out there, guys. There's a lot of people going through struggles, debt, divorce, death, all the D's, right? A lot of the D's. Obviously, the diamonds and diapers, those are the happy smiles. But, build a toolkit and get a sense of, and what I mean by a toolkit is offer options. People don't just always want the most money. They always don't want to change the bathroom or landscape or power wash the house and, put new countertops in or whatever it may be. I mean, some markets say do those things, you'll yield higher results when you go to sell them, of course. But some people just want to get out, and explain to them, those are your options. And if you go in and just like a lot of realtors do, I'm like, do this, this, and this, they're probably going to think, let me do this, this, and this, because they don't know any better. So if you give them the options, you can list at this, or you can do this, this, and this. And I would hope that you guys do that as well. But give them the story of what to expect down the road. You don't do this, 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 and this. This is what you should expect, right? And then another ticket is too. I mean, we have lots of investors. We can have someone that can pick this up. You don't have to put it on the market. Don't have to do showings. Don't have to remove the dog. Don't have to worry about the cat. Right? Explain that's an option too. You don't have to hit the market. Wait if someone can buy tomorrow. And if you don't, go back to your colleagues, because I'm sure they have somebody. Right? All right. We need a new reader for the consultation. 10 steps to master the consultation. Who wants to help us out?
Confirm the appointment, adopt a yes mindset, enter and tour, begin the conversation, and uncover and prioritize needs.
Absolutely. I mean, I follow it just like this. Just like this. Maybe I flip this one up here, because when I call the person, I'm walking in, I'm getting it. I'm going to get it. I want to understand how to get it. I'm not saying to myself, I'm not going to get it. I can't do it. I might get it. I hope I get it, right? So I'm walking in with that mindset of like, damn, let me get this thing. And we call all sorts of sellers. We sell by owners. We door knock. We do open houses. We get, we call our past sphere. We call old leads. I mean, we do a hell of a lot of conversations to walk in to try to get the business. But I think one missed opportunity for confirming the appointment, not just confirming the appointment on the phone, but send them a counter invite, right? Send them a follow-up text. Hey, looking forward to seeing you, because I mean, something could come up. And I've driven to Timbuktu sometimes. Hey, where are you? I thought that was on Thursday. It's Wednesday, honey. Yeah, I mean, that could happen. That can really happen. And like a lot of agents on my team, I remember they're like, oh man, I drove out there. I've been working so hard and I was trying to nail this one. They didn't show. You didn't confirm the appointment. You have to confirm the appointment. I mean, what does their doctor do? Confirm the appointment. They want to make sure that you're going to be out there. Enter and tour. This has probably been my easiest pitch. Do you guys kind of do it in that order as well? When you walk in, say, hey, thanks for having me. Let's take a tour. That's the most natural way of doing it. You got to see the house to know how to price it. Some people say, where do you want to sit? I mean, they probably just want to sign papers at that point. But I want to see the house. I want to know how to price and market this thing, right? Because they could have something that could be really sweet or really not. And I got to put the right eyes on it to be a fiduciary. Any questions so far? No?
No, but just something to add there that
Yeah.
I wasn't doing when I started taking listings that I am now makes a huge difference is setting the expectation that you're going to enter and tour. Because if people don't realize you're going to do that, it can throw them for a loop, right? Or they can be like, oh, I don't have my house prepared for you.
Yeah.
It can start it with being kind of uncomfortable and awkward. So just letting people know this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, expectations. Expectations are very, very important, 100%. 100%. And we want to see, I do 360s outside. I check the foundation. I mean, I'm not out there with a magnifying glass, but like I want to see things. And if I see something, I'm going to question, what's that stain for? Why is that like that? Are the kids always here? I want to make sure I know exactly, how this works. It's okay if they are. What? Well, just for showings and what have you. Maybe not in that order, right? I mean, if you have an open house, I mean, we've all heard this line before. Let's go away for the weekend while we do the open house. Get you multiple offers. They might not think about that. Well, we have 15 showings this weekend, or we have 6 showings this weekend. I got kids, I got diapers, I got 2 dogs. That's a pain in the ass, right? So if you show them, hey, just go to mom's house in Pittsburgh or whatever it may be, right? And they didn't really, they might not know that. Uncover and prioritize needs. You really want to get a sense of like, what's important in their next property. And I actually have a lot of conversations with this at the table. Like I already know I can sell their house. I've seen it. I feel very confident and competent that I can sell their property, no problem. The issue is where in the hell they're going to go. And do I have enough confidence? And am I competent enough to find them the right house that they want based on their needs? That's where the struggle really lies in this market. And as the rates dip down, more sellers will open up, right? And it's slowly happening. More deals are happening now, right? You guys busier than you were 2 months ago as a whole? I heard 1 year, 2 years. About the same?
Still bidding wars too.
Yeah, still bidding wars. Yeah, still bidding wars. I mean, we're seeing no inspections on stuff, right? We're not back to appraisal waivers yet in Maryland, but we might see that again. Escalation clauses for sure. If a house is priced right, I mean, it's selling pretty damn quickly, right? One of the things we're doing, I actually bring this book with me. I got 3 listings signed over the weekend. I pulled this book out. And they're like, well, why do you want to list at that number? I said, I study real estate. And I said, number 8, stand out from the competition. No, that's not it. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't say that. Tactic number 7, price ahead of the market, selling pricing strategies. So I went over this tactic with them rather than the theory of list high and then chase the market, the staircase approach, if you guys are familiar with that.
That was number 7, right?
Number 7. Number 7, I got it right that time. Yeah. So, you know, when they hear like you study real estate, like, oh, wow, this guy's a realtor and he studies it too. Absolutely, I do. Like, I want to know, I want to know in the market of the moment what I need to be doing to be successful. I mean, we knew what we had to do, you know, 12 months ago. It's a different market now, right? So we need to get ahead of the consumer. We need to get in front of them. We need to tell them what's our VP, what's our value proposition, like how do we stand out amongst the crowd? Well, we're known for moving. We're moving real estate. We're selling our houses. We don't expire listings. We don't cancel listings. We sell them. All right, who wants to be the brave person and read the last few here?
Check for commitment, handle objections, set expectations, negotiate to resolve issues, and close.
Absolutely. So we talked about set expectations. That's a big one. Before the appointment, during the appointment, in the middle of the transaction, before you go on the market, you know, here's what to expect. And I've noticed if I call my clients before they call me, my conversation's a lot easier. A lot easier. And otherwise they're like, what's going on here, here, and here? Because then they're not going to trust you. The moment you start to make one mistake or two mistakes, you don't, you know, live up to the expectations you said you were going to do, they're going to be like, wow, this person isn't all cracked with what they're supposed to be. Right. So it makes a massive impact when you set these expectations so they know what to expect, because they might not know what to expect. I thought you said no inspections. Why is the buyer's contractor here? Right. So we need to have these conversations. We need to bulletproof our offers and make sure we're reading every single page, making sure the transfer taxes are, you know, split the right way. Make sure there's no hidden language in the contract. Oh, you didn't see that? Is it extra freezer in the basement included? And now it's not, right? So you got to really read this stuff and be very, very thorough, because your referral's on the line, your reputation's on the line. I like number 9 a lot too. Negotiate to resolve issues. You know, I think we all can say this. We like to resolve issues that we can resolve without informing the other party. But there are times where we have to tell them. I have plenty of situations where got to call someone today because we can't close because we have an appraisal issue, right? So it's not about what you say, it's how you make people feel, right? We've all felt that. So we talked about this earlier, the consultation follow-up. If you got the listing signed, you're walking out doing the happy dance, everything feels good, you know, you say thank you for the opportunity, look forward to working with you. It's not just, hey, we'll catch up soon. Like, you take that extra mile to say those extra words. And then we talked about this. If I don't win the listing, I'm going to ask why. And sometimes I say, why didn't I get the listing right on the spot? Or I'll follow up, and, you know, sometimes they'll say, we'll get back in touch with you. It's, I don't mean to be braggadocious, but it's very rare when we don't get a listing signed. It's usually, if we don't, it's usually on a for sale by owner, because most of our business is referral. We do a lot of networking and such. And whatever you hear from that conversation, why you didn't get it, I mean, use that, what they said, to become sharper, unless it's, you know, something bogus. If they don't want to sign with you and, you know, they want to postpone the listing, figure out what the objection is, right? One of my objection handlers, if I'm the first realtor in and they're like, well, we're meeting with another realtor, we don't want to sign yet. I said, look, we've had a good conversation, haven't we? They're going to say yes, most likely, right? And then I say, well, look, go ahead and meet with the other realtor. Why don't we get in business today? Go ahead and sign my listing agreement. In the fact the other realtor ends up being better, why don't we rip this up and we'll move on? They end up signing a listing agreement. Sometimes they cancel that appointment. And, you know, taking the you know, the tougher road, sometimes I will offer to, you know, call the other agent and say, I met with, such and such seller. I'm going to put it on the market. You don't need to meet with them. Because the seller's like, I have to meet with them. I schedule the appointment, right? All right. So what were your ahas or major points, or the one thing you want to put into action so far? Let's kind of recap where we are in the class.
Start shaking the nurtures.
Start shaking the nurtures. How hard are you going to shake them?
Oh, I'm shaking.
That's a good answer. Start shaking the nurtures, guys. Educate them. Like literally educate them. They're not watching real estate like we are. We probably haven't talked to them in 2 weeks or 3 months, or six months or 12 months. Tell them what's really going on. There could be a change in their life that happened. They could have got a promotion. They could have credit card debt. They don't have enough equity in the property. Or they have equity in the property, but now they have so much credit card debt. We're seeing that right now, right? Their brother just had a baby and they want to be closer to the brother.
Something that I just heard I thought was an interesting way to prospect for sellers is, or like an opportunity for us to get those either buyers or sellers, is really like people who got into the business during the height of things, just because it was like easy. Some of them have left because it got hard, and I've seen that. We all know agents who didn't do any business last year, and you can pick up their nurtures too. Like, reach out to people that, like, if you see that they've left the market, like, be their partner, their referral partner, or even just, I don't know how to tap into that per se, but I see that there's like a void where there have been, like, somebody got in because their aunt and their brother or somebody was going to sell, and then they just stopped.
Yeah.
Now they're not renewing their license this year.
I always come from curiosity, like, call up that person that was a hitter but not a hitter, right? They were order taker in the market and things were selling and we could put something on. I remember, we all remember the market went from selling in months to weeks to days to minutes. Like, I had clients that call me, that house went under contract in 17 minutes. I'm like, I didn't even see it. I'm sorry, we didn't catch that one. It was tough. I mean, we were very, very busy, and that's why a lot of people got licensed, right? And once we haven't quite seen a dropout in realtors, but when we will see it is when they renew their licenses. They have to pay their board dues. So, I mean, it's slowly going to trickle out, but that's definitely a lure to get in there. Another way, we're going to share tactics, how we get listings as well. But I mean, I'll just tell you now, we sometimes approach listings that were expired back in 2021 that didn't sell, or 2019 that didn't sell, or even canceled. And we send them a letter. Hey, look, I know you didn't sell when, but now we have buyers shopping, right? If we have a listing, we send out postcards, QR codes with home evaluations. We door knock the neighborhood. We tell them what's going on. I mean, we actually give them something. I usually give them beer koozies because they're super cheap. Knock on the door, here's a beer koozie. Think of us. It has all our information on it. It's different than a business card. They'll actually maybe use it, right? So makes an impact. Anybody else?
That nugget right before this page, you said, let's sign this contract, and if you don't like the other guy, we'll rip this up.
Yeah. I actually used that on a really big listing that turned into another really big listing, then turned into another really big listing. They just kept selling big listings and buying big listings, moving out of state and back into state. They didn't know where they wanted to be. And I just crushed real estate just on that one conversation. Yeah, they're moving back to Montana. They moved back to Maryland, back to Montana now. So.
If you have, I mean, I know we're always trying to close for something, right? Close for the appointment, close for the listing, close for the buyer's agency, what have you. But when I'm working with, the productivity agents, it's always in asking questions, but getting like the 3-layer stage, like you talked about. Why is that important to you? Why is that important to you? But really coming in at the end of the conversation to sum it up, right? So that everybody has a clear, complete, mutual understanding of what has, transpired in that conversation before asking for the appointment or, the listing contract, buyer's agency. And if they aren't moving forward, then that is easier transitioning to, or I need to wait, or I have to check with my significant other. It's an easier transition if you've gone through and recapped the conversation of, oh, wait a minute, I'm so sorry. Like, you told me that you wanted to, list your home for X, Y, and Z reasons, and why this is important to you, and, recapping that. If you're not ready to move forward now, I must have missed something. What have I not learned about you yet? Can we maybe keep it, or
No, that's
dive into
beautiful.
this conversation again to figure out what I've missed, because I must have missed something.
Yeah. That's in the art of language, right? When they say something, if we repeat it. So what I hear you saying is this, this, and this. Like they just said that, and now I'm repeating what they just said. We're literally just speaking back and forth exactly what they said, but they hear it, and they like they he just said that, now he hears me. I didn't just say it and it wasn't repeated back. Like the author of Exactly What to Say speaks a lot about language. A really good book to read.
Right, and then even in communicating where we think it's direct, right, sometimes it's subjective, and so what you hear is not what I heard, so
Yeah,
it helps to be on the same page.
absolutely, absolutely. That's a really good tip. All right, so chapter 4, guys, we're moving right along here. Servicing and marketing. Three levels of service: purpose, value proposition, and being a fiduciary. All right, so service standards, standard yardstick of your performance, measure of how well you are performing. Activity, what are your servicing standards and how are you accountable to them? So in my eyes, it's important to go through business, and then pause. Are you getting the results you want to get? I can share a short little story for you here. Market really hit hard for us in August in Maryland. Our business, we were selling 10, 12, 15 homes a month pretty consistently. And then we went to like really pretty much dance in the threes the next 3 months, September, October, November. Had to dip into savings, right? So I, being 15 plus years in the business, I wasn't really quite ready for this. And I had to start hitting harder, like activities, taking action, like lead gen, right? Like we were doing before, but at a much harder level, a much deepened level, a much different team level conversation. And, I would work even harder. The rates weren't helping. Work even harder. And it was like, where is the business? We all kind of maybe felt it, right? It's interesting. I sit down with some groups. They're like, yeah, 2023 was my best year. I'm like, good for you. Right. But 2023 was not our best year. Probably our worst year in the last 5 years, but still a good year. But it's very important to really measure where you're at, right? And it's interesting. Like my analogy is that I was working, and I felt like I was blinded in a dark room, and I really couldn't know anything whatsoever. Even though I'm blind, I can't see. Yes, but like I would lead gen and just wouldn't get the leads that I wanted to get. So I kept working harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, and kept changing what I was doing. What I was doing yesterday didn't work for tomorrow, and so forth. So I kept changing it, and eventually, like the market softened a little bit. The rates came down, and people opened back up. So it made a big difference. 12:15. Okay. All right, gang. Let's take that 15-minute break. See you back here at 12:35.
Heading back on after this stuff.
Okay.
Just so you're clear.
Yeah. So win-win or no deal. I like this one. It's important for many reasons. It has to be a win-win for the seller. I mean, there's definitely times where you get a lower offer and they feel like they're not winning, but they're actually, these are the cards. Explain them what the cards are to make that decision. One of our strong suits, we talked about this earlier, is bulletproofing the contract. We want to look through almost every loophole of the contract. Like we work with foreclosures, short sales, standard sales, estate sales, for sale by owners. I mean, we work with so many different contracts, right? And we're under contract right now with a foreclosure, and we're dealing with an appraisal issue, right? And it has $100 fee per day if we don't close on the settlement date. And now we're 8 days past. So it's $800 fee tacked on for this foreclosure that I represent the buyer. So we need to be very clear. We set the expectations. The client needs to read the contract, but so do we, if we're not familiar with it, of course. Now, if it's a normal contract we deal with all the time, we know what it says. We can cruise through it pretty quickly. But if it's a bank contract, bank addenda, you want to make sure they understand the loopholes in the contract or the things that could happen. If you don't think they're going to happen, they may happen. And when they do happen, and you're not ready for it, shame on you, right? Bulletproofing the contract, one of the things that our team does, we always like to tell the sellers, hey, look, you have an HOA. If we're listing your property with an HOA, we want to order these HOA documents ASAP. That gives the buyer an out. We've seen it before. Under contract, go through inspections. A neighbor puts their house in the market because we went under contract for $15,000 in asking price because the neighbor told that neighbor. Let me put my house in the market. We lose the buyer. The buyer goes to that new house because it has a better backyard and a better deck and whatever it may be, and it's a better price. And now we're back on the market, right? Because they got out on the HOA docs or whatever it may be. So just bulletproofing your contract, bulletproofing your systems, knowing exactly what to do to the process and setting those expectations with the seller. One of the things, going back to the last slide, one of the things our team does is we send counter invites to our clients for the response times for inspections, when the appraisals due, all that stuff. This way, they're kind of really involved. This way, we don't have to tell them, hey, we're waiting on the appraisal next. They know exactly what's going on. Our transaction manager sends us the counter invite and also the client. All right, hopping into number 6, contract to close. Anybody want to read this for me?
Sure. Words of wisdom. When it comes to bulletproofing the transaction, take the everything will go wrong approach. Assume everything will go wrong and come up with ways to possibly prevent them from happening or effectively deal with them if they do.
That's basically what we talked about earlier. Like fully read your contract and understand the pitfalls that can happen, right? I mean, I know we try to avoid them. We're optimistic. Things won't happen. I've played that game before too. And all of a sudden it happens. You're like, oh man, that's a shot in the dark. That's not going to happen. And all of a sudden that's perfect storm happens. And now we lose our reputation. We lose our referral. Instead of getting that lead when we're on the listing appointment, she says, you know what? You do a good job in my house, you're going to get grandma's listing because grandma and I are moving in a house together. Great. I'm excited to help you and grandma. And we'll win on 3 deals. But instead, maybe I don't get any deals because I got fired because I didn't think about what to do in the contract, right? So look at all the pitfalls that can happen. And if you have multiple offers, you can really have the best litter of the offer to pick from. Like look at the deposits, what's the financing, what are the terms, who's the lender, did you interview the lender? Is it the buyer agent's go-to lender partner? Who's the title company? Ask up front. Who's the buyer partner using for title? Right? If you hire the wrong title company, the wrong partners in the deal could go south. we have a deal that's really rocky right now because of an appraisal. The lender's not communicating that well, and the appraiser's doing a review of the file, and he's taking his good old time. And we're talking 5 days to get a review of the file for an appraisal. So I think we all know what happens, at contract, clear title, loan, underwritten, funded, closing disclosure, closing, recordation, and possession. But it's important to tell people these are the things that happen, right? Like whose title? A seller might not even know what title is. Title for my car? Title for what? Title policy? Like tell people exactly what to expect, during and then after the transaction, and let them know you'll guide them every step of the way. This is important too. For those of you, have lots of closings or don't have lots of closings, it's always important to look over your closing disclosure because there are negotiations right now. Believe it or not, right? In the past markets, there weren't a lot of negotiations, but in today's market, there are negotiations. There's seller contribution. There's negotiations for appraisals. There's negotiations for rent backs, repairs, and et cetera. So you just want to make sure that seller contribution was changed. You want to make sure the compensation for you is correct. You just want to make sure everything looks correct, right? Any questions so far? All right, so here's like a little checklist, to keep yourself on track. We don't share this with the seller, but this is kind of things that you can do to be on track to coach the seller through the transaction, like what to expect and what have you. Some buyers don't even get surveys, so you want to let your seller know your buyers may be getting a survey, right? And a surveyor all of a sudden comes in your yard at 6 a.m. and the guy comes out with a gun. Like, what the hell's going on here? So, tell them about the different types of inspections, mold, termite, radon. They might not know all this stuff, right? They're going to go in your attic, stuff like that. So once you get a sense of all this stuff, it's going to make a big, big difference. All right, so seize the golden opportunity discussion. How do you leave a good impression, right? I think, guys, we leave a good impression by creating a raving experience. Like I said earlier, if we just have a satisfactory experience, we're literally just moving the seller right along to settlement. Like that's what it feels like. Okay, listing on the market, got a contract, under contract. Now we're in pending phase. Now what happens in this? Repairs, inspections, appraisal and settlement. Like we're literally streamlining them along. But if we make a very good impression, we're going in deeper. We're providing value, right? We're giving them insights where the market's going. If they're not ready to list, if we're waiting until the spring, or they're ready to list now, what are the advantages of listing now versus later, right? You're shining them a light and giving them options, and you're building that playing field of like, this is what happens if you do it now or versus do it later, right? Reputation is important. I mean, if you say you're going to do X, Y, and Z, you say you're going to meet the appraiser, you say you're going to do this at the listing appointment, you don't meet the appraiser. Didn't you say you're going to meet the appraiser at the listing appointment? Now you're not going to meet the appraiser. I mean, it's got to make sense. If you have code, I understand that, but like, you want to say exactly what you're going to do because they're going to watch you. I had a listing appointment one time a while back. Guy was I don't know, a police officer or a teacher. It wasn't a referral, it was an online lead, and I went there. And I came for another appointment, which my client was late, and I was driving across town. I got there like 7 minutes late, and he's out there on the front porch like this. And I said, "Oh God, here we go. Oh God." And he's like, he says, "You know who I am?" I said, "Sir, your name's Barry. Nice to meet you." He says, "I'm a school teacher, and I've been waking up 30 years at 5 a.m. and I've been on time all the time, every time." And I just knew we weren't meant to be in business together. So I'd said respectfully, look, I told her I was running late too. I told I was 5 minutes late or 7 minutes late. And I said, I'm sorry I'm late. I got here and I get sensed by the body language. And once it starts there, I don't want to get involved. So I said respectfully, if he said if we work past this phase and we work past that, I'd be okay with it. But I knew in that moment in time, like I wasn't comfortable conversing with him just because of the energy. And I was in a weird space that day, maybe because the world was weird for me. And I was like, dude, I'm out. I'm out. I want to protect my mental space so I can show up for better people in better ways, right? So I made the wrong impression by being late. I did text him, but that wasn't good enough. And if that's not good enough, it happens. All right, so what sellers look for: professionalism, effective communication, knowledge of the market, clear marketing plan, professional photography and staging, understanding sellers' needs, negotiation skills, transparency, timely follow-ups, technology integration, provide resources and guidance, respect property and privacy, problem-solving skills, testimonial and references. Guys, like this is the package. I mean, we do these things and take care of our clients in this manner. We're gonna get a raving fan. And that's what we want. We want raving fans. Because they're going to tell us, they're going to tell us like who we are and what we do. They're going to be at the lunch. A real estate conversation comes up. If they're not a raving fan of ours, we're not going to be brought up, right? They're not. Like my realtor saved me $3,000. My realtor gave me a great CPA to talk to about 1031 exchanges. My realtor gave me a phenomenal referral partner in Miami, Florida. We don't have to do all that. My roof leaked. My tree fell down, right? So, for a while there, we didn't have the best package, but we figured out what to make the best package. We changed photographers, we changed lenders, we changed title companies, we changed team members, right? We kept making the changes we needed to make to set ourselves up for success, so people understand we're creating the right impression, we're providing value, and we're reassessing things constantly. Always reassessing things, right? Because what we were doing 3 months ago is probably not today's strategy. What you were doing in 2022 to sell real estate is not what you did in 2023. We can say that again, right? And what you're going to be doing in 2024 is not exactly what you did in 2023. Raise a hand. Who's going to raise of hands? Who's going to family reunion this year? Okay, 3 people. Has anyone been in the room before? Has anyone been to a conference before? Raise of hands. Guys, I have. It's a massive ecosystem. Like the world is there. This is probably one of the biggest conferences ever. I know it's in Vegas. It's loud. It's noisy. It's bright, right? But this is going to be one of the biggest conferences. There's going to be a lot of AI integration conversations. There's going to be a lot of value conversations. There's going to be a lot of what you did in 2023 doesn't work in 2024. What are the habits you need to do to be successful in this market? And to me, it's action, 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 action. And providing value, of course, right? Our team has buckled down with a lot more action in what we're doing. Like literally, I'm doing a lot more action. I'm back in the field. I'm grinding. My team is grinding. By the way, I got 2 team members right here, Otis and Leah. They came up from Maryland here today.
Hi, thanks for having us.
All right, so let's go over any ahas so far. I know we've talked about this before, but what are your ahas so far? Anything you're going to be implementing? Any one things?
The calendar invites for your stuff, I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a reminder for my clients that, hey, this is coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else?
I'm not sure if this has been said already or not, but I think the point earlier of if your client's calling you, you need to be calling now.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's an indicator that you're not fully doing your job properly. You should be out in front of that. And if you keep getting calls from your client, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very less likely to get a referral, and you're gonna hear from their tonality. Hey, what's going on? It's a lot different than, hey, how are you? Right? Anybody else? What you got?
Continually setting clear expectations every step along that you go.
Absolutely.
Because once you tell them something in your consultation, and you're a month down the road, and they're getting ready to actually put their house on the market, they've had the contractors there, they don't remember that conversation they had with you a month ago.
Yeah.
They were in a totally different place. They were just waiting for that number
Yeah.
to come out.
Sure.
And now they actually need to prepare.
And then sometimes, like, it's almost like when you're going over the conversation at the consultation to get the listing agreement signed. I mean, you're going over things in detail, but some of it is spark notes. And like, what is the play? This is 2nd down, 3 to go. What is in that moment in time? Talking to the contractor, what to expect? Like, we didn't expect to have we didn't know our roof leaked. We didn't know we had rodents up there. Like, how does this work? I mean, I didn't know I had mold in my basement. Like now we need to change the conversation a little bit so they can have clear expectations. I like that. Anybody else? Okay. Almost 1 o'clock here. We might be wrapping up just a couple minutes early. So chapter number 7, post-close systems. Client for life, the big picture, avoid pitfalls, dropping contact with clients after closing, leaving all the rapport and equity on the table instead of getting numerous deals from them. I'm guilty of it at times, right? This is where we talked about shaking the nurture bucket. Shake it hard, not just shake it one day. Keep shaking it.
I'm
Fruit.
doing the Buffini apology dialogue.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's been doing
That's a really good one.
well.
That's a really good one.
What's
Yeah.
that look like?
What's that?
What's that look like?
It's just me calling them, apologizing for not following up with them or staying in contact and just asking how they're doing. I don't even talk about real estate.
Like,
So I just re-engage with them and then I start that drip campaign. At least I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's a really good approach. The guy named Michael Mayer, he talks about, you know, if you haven't talked to someone in a while, invite them to something. Like we have a roller skating event, a very unique one, I know. But like it gives a reason to call our sphere. Like, hey, we haven't talked in a while. I just want to invite you into an opportunity. And it takes the edge off, like, hey, how's the family? How's the kids? How's the job? Like we all have had that conversation, but we want to provide value. We're offering free roller skates, you know, to the kids. And if you guys want to skate too, please do. But you know, if you invite someone, everyone wants to be included. I mean, we've all had that feeling where, you know, a friend sends an invitation out to all your buddies except for you. Maybe you're like, damn, I might not be their buddy, right? So if you include everybody, they got the invitation, right? It makes a difference. So it makes that conversation a little bit easier when you call them and say, we want to invite you to X, Y, and Z. We want to invite you to support this cause. We want to invite you to help us, you know, raise money for this. We want to help you, or if you can help us, rather, give food back to the needy, right? Or we have a roller skating event, or we have whatever it may be. Are you guys asking for surveys, reviews, and testimonials? Raise of hands. Okay, keep your hands raised if you're getting them. Okay, guys, we got to dinner, right? We look up movies online, see what the ratings are, right? We got to get these reviews. They're very, very important. One tip I can give you, and I say this in all my testimonial emails when I send out the review email, I literally have links to all the spots that they can leave reviews at. So Facebook, you know, Google My Business page, you know, Realtor.com, Zillow. So I have links to all my pages that they can leave reviews, and I give them instructions. Please copy and paste this review that you post on one site, and if you can, here's links to all the other sites. Post that same review on all these other platforms. So when someone looks you up, and they're like, "Man, he's got this many reviews here. He's got that many reviews here. He's got." This way, you're not just sending them one spot to post. You're literally giving them the links. You're making it easy for them. And you're also giving them instructions. I would really appreciate, here are all the links. Please copy and paste your review. You're going to post on one site, post on the rest. The reason why I ask you to do that, it's important so I get to show up on all of these different platforms with, you know, higher review ratings. You don't always have to ask for reviews at the end of the deal. Ask during the high points. I think we've all heard that one before, right? If you've been in business more than 2 years, I'm sure you've heard a lot of the stuff I'm pitching up here today. Sometimes we need to hear it, right? And we need to take action to stand out amongst the crowds. All right, so basically here is a follow-up with customers chart. You know, would use or recommend their listing agent again? Definitely. And then pretty much, you know, how many times sellers recommend their agent? None. This goes to show you, like, you got to keep in touch with your database. You got to provide value. If you're sending them, you know, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy St. Patrick's Day, that's not value, guys. That is noise. Like my vacuum repair cleaner person would probably send that to me, even if I have one, right? Like that is just noise. Like what value are we providing? Neighborhood nurtures, great value. People want to know what the value of their house is, right? The PMI thing, great value. They want to know, do I have PMI? What is PMI? Can I reduce that? I mean, people are doing taxes right now, as I mentioned earlier, the 5 tips with the CPA thing, right? These are your nuggets, right? What does the forecast for the spring market look like? What are like, ask ChatGPT, what are buyers mostly looking for in properties in 2024? I mean, talk to your sphere. I mean, I'm doing a poll. I'm calling all my past sellers. I'm calling all my buyers. This is a reason for you to call them. What's important to your next property? And And maybe you tell them you're taking a poll, maybe you don't, but then you start to build your own little system as well. All right, these are just touch campaign ideas. Can everyone see it from the back row as well? Okay. Holiday card, certificate for their birthday. We're doing a reverse bold for Valentine's Day, $75 to, you guys know what reverse bold is first off, before I hop into that? It's where people call you instead of you call them. So we're advertising that we give out $75 to their choosing of their restaurant by calling into us, right? And then we have a drawing for a following date, where we draw like their name and we announce it on Facebook Live, or where we decide to put it, and it's fun, right? I mean, who doesn't want $75 free for dinner, or at least an opportunity, right? So the thing is to get this dinner, they need to be a past client, because I've noticed that we've had a lot of like robots or bots. With this lady like hit me up like 500 times, can I get my Amazon gift card in New York? I'm like, no. Right? So yeah, so you got to make sure you set up the expectations, so you know what you're doing. Reverse bolds have been helpful for us. We're doing them probably once a quarter, and we're trying to be relevant to the time. So a Valentine's Day dinner, right? St. Patrick's Day, sometimes we give out Looney's cards. Father's Day, we went a little too far. We handed out a Blackstone griddle. Yeah, that was a little something. So, but we have fun. I mean, sometimes we ask for sponsorships and what have you, and that definitely helps out. The anniversaries have been good. Telling people happy anniversary. Calling people on their birthday. That's also been helpful too. We have a seller questionnaire form or a buyer questionnaire form that we bounce out to them. Ask them a bunch of different questions. When's your birthday? When's your anniversary? If they want to tell us, that's great. And then we manage that on our CRM, and we call people. We can also use Facebook as a tool as well for birthdays and such. Yeah, so that's that. All right, so chapter 8, conclusion. All right, so activity, my future with sellers, write your version of winning, write your version of the winner's day. Use I and make it personal as you can. Put your heart into it, describe your big life. Don't let your fear get away. So why don't we go ahead and take about 5 minutes and journal a little bit if you can, please. Journal has been really helpful for me. You guys are probably used to that in bold. Take 5 minutes and really journal why you're passionate about winning with sellers. What does your future look like with sellers? Why do you want to travel down the path with sellers? If it's buyers, take the time to write on buyers, right? If it's sellers, that's what I focus on. That's what I'm very passionate about. It's my niche. Paint out how you want to help them. What do you want to do for them? How you want to educate them? How you want to serve them? How can you be a better fiduciary? We'll go until 1:10. About 2 more minutes. Is anyone willing to share their future with sellers?
I hope to be greeted warmly when I see people in public. Like my dad's a doctor and he helps so many people.
Mhm.
And when we run across somebody in public, they're just like, "Hey, like wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for this and this." And like I want to have that reaction, like how be able to help people in a way that they come approach me at a Hershey Bears game or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
What are you going to do to implement that?
Educate myself as much as possible, be confident and experienced, and just want to absorb and learn as possible so I can be that way.
That's great. I like that. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm passionate about helping sellers get the most return possible on one of their largest assets, bringing them the best resources and partners, finding and implementing creative marketing, building the families I assist more generational wealth with my expertise, meticulous attention to detail, and deep empathy through the emotional aspects of this business.
Beautiful. Well said. I like that. 2 great responses. Anybody else with the last one?
I'll share this. I don't know. One thing that I think I struggled with is when you said asking for referrals and reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just gives me like the like I hate asking for that. So I know that like my word of the year is give. My word of the year last year was serve. And in order to be good at giving, you have to be willing to receive and like not block that off. So in my I wrote, I'm always seeking to give more value than I take in payment and have never been comfortable asking for referrals. But this year, to be the best at giving, I also have to stay open to receive.
Yeah.
So that for me, that's huge.
No, absolutely. And the way that I would approach that, my advice would be is like, if the conversation's rolling and you feel like, they're part of your tribe, like you can see eye to eye with them, the conversation's real. It's not like, this one-off, like kind of chameleon mirror and match kind of conversation. But like, hey, look, we've had a great conversation. Who else in your world could benefit from a conversation from me? Right? Yeah.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Think of it this way, who might they have to work with if you don't ask for that referral? They
Ooh.
might suffer because you didn't ask
That's
for that.
good. That's helpful. That's something that actually like speaks to that.
Yeah. Like if you truly want to give and like take care, take as much as you can. Right?
I got my license because of the agents I worked for.
That's cool.
It shapes you. Shapes you. Yeah. Yeah, I was at the mastermind last night in Annapolis, Maryland, with Cody Gibson, the guy from Alaska, and we were masterminding about givers and takers, and I said to myself, man, I need more givers in my life. I have too many takers, right? So, no, I wasn't looking at you guys. I wasn't looking at you guys. No, I look at the room. I looked at the room.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting meeting tomorrow.
It's gonna be a long ride home. Long ride home. Yeah.
We got
But we need more givers. Like if we just give, right? We're eventually we're gonna receive. I want to give it. Like I'm up here giving. I want to give. Like it's who I am. Takers can take and let them take. Let them be who they are because that's not who I am. And if that's just the way it is for me. But love that. That was great. And guys, I recommend, journaling more often. It's really helped me like kind of figure out my path. Sometimes we just don't know. We're going through life and things are moving and things are changing outside of real estate as well, So finances are changing, spiritual life is changing, physical life is changing, mental health is changing. Things are changing, right, outside of real estate. So it's important to take the time to take pen and paper and journal a little bit to kind of reflect on, one of my favorite things to journal is who am I and who do I want to become, right? I kind of work on that a little bit. All right, so my one thing action plan, retrieve your one thing statements from the end of each chapters. No, we didn't do that, so we'll skip this. So this was kind of like, everyone knows about the one. Have everyone read the book, The One Thing? It's a great read if you haven't read it yet, right? Highly recommend reading it. It really fits into our company's culture and what have you. The book has really resonated with me. I took it to a much higher level when I first started reading it. I was like engrossed with it. Like, what is the one thing such I could do, but the one thing makes everything else easier and necessary. And I literally applied it to like, well, this task, this task, this task, and just started wiping out so much BS that I was, stuck with, and just redoing your systems. Like, how can you communicate to your sellers at a higher level? Build that one thing system. How can you communicate to your buyers at a higher level? How can you systematize all this stuff? How can you string it together, right? And brainstorm about it, right? And keep changing. Like we're having a mastermind tomorrow, 8 hours, our team. We're getting together. What does real estate look for us right now? What are we going to be doing? What are we changing? What value are we going to be providing? And we're all following our niches. We all picked a niche. Otis likes first-time homebuyer police officers. Leah was a teacher. She likes to help teachers, right? So we all kind of define our niche on exactly what we're doing. And I was on a mastermind call from a guy, Illinois, specializes in new construction, and he kept honing in on the word specialize. I'm an expert, right? When people hear that, they kind of be like, huh. Like I said earlier, I study real estate, and I brought that book out on my listing appointment. When people hear that, right, it definitely makes a difference. I specialize in helping people buy new construction. I specialize in helping people with estate sales. I specialize in helping police officers buy their first properties. I specialize in foreclosures. I'm an expert in open houses. I'm an expert in getting the buyers at your property. I'm a ninja at negotiating, right? So when people hear these trigger words, they're like, But if you keep saying that along the journey, it's going to make a big, big difference. So really make that a part of your pact, right? I'm glad you called, Mr. Seller. I specialize in that area. I specialize in helping sellers in the spring market. I'm an expert in this market. Here's why to make moves now. Let's set up that appointment, right? If you guys don't have an accountability partner, definitely get one. Like our team is pretty strict on a lot of different things, hitting our numbers. We have coaching within our team. If you don't have a coach, definitely talk to your coach at your office, your TL as well, to help keep you more accountable. Meet with them regularly. Be surprised what will come out of your mouth, right? Your inner voice, there's a lot stored up here that we don't let out. And if we let it out and we're comfortable in front of the right room, the right audience, the right people, we're in business with the right people, it's going to feel like a conversation. It's going to feel you're giving your time, they're giving their time. It's going to feel reciprocal. It's going to feel like it's a match. That's the way you want it to be. Revisit your goals. I commit to the following, and you score yourself. You can do this once a month. Feel free to take a picture of this as well if you like. But it's also on KW Connect. But these are the things like, actively use social media, have a business website that attracts customer inquiries, attend mega camp, attend family reunion, participate in KW Maps coaching. Like, score yourself. Are you heading to your promised land of goals? All right, so this is ahas to achievement. So I guess we'll ask some of these questions. How are you going to change your actions? What tools will you use? How will you be accountable? What do you want to achieve? So let's go ahead and go around the room. I haven't heard from this side much. So can you answer one of these and tell me which one you're answering?
You know what, it was when you talked about communication, I highly value that. I think that communicating thoroughly with our clients helps them to feel comfortable with the transaction and confident in our abilities. But I want to go back through all my steps and just critique what I'm doing, because I have written down too the calendar invites.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody goes under contract, I always give them a little calendar per se. It's written with dates when this is this and this. But like it was also said, people forget or lose paper or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So just to critique and improve communication on every step throughout the night.
Yeah, communication is key. Anyone else from this side?
I liked the calendar invites also, so I think that would fall under the tools to use.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm already on the productivity team, but I think it answers the first and third questions, like just show up to productivity meetings for.
They're important meetings. I mean, you'll hear things you won't hear not being in the room.
Right.
Yeah. What about the last one? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Just kind of going over the ahas, working with sellers, winning with sellers. What do you want to achieve with sellers? Like, that's the end goal, right?
Want to achieve being a trusted name in their circles.
Love that. Love that. And you want to achieve being the go-to guy, right?
Likewise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else?
Harmony between my life and my business.
Love that. That's a tough balance at times. Can be.
Truly being of value to myself.
Being of value.
Truly being of value. I already have people calling me about for vendors and contractors and this and that, and I'll drop anything.
Yeah.
Take their phone call. 'Cause they need it.
Absolutely. I mean, people really appreciate when you're a true value, being the ultimate connector when, they have a pipe that bust, or, they just moved in, they don't know, where their title policy is because there's an issue with the whatever it may be, right? So just being nimble to have contacts. And if you don't have contacts, build your contacts, right? That provides value.
Well, and the upside to that is you direct people towards those contacts, that comes back to you as well.
Great aha, right? You connect the circle. I give tons of business to one roofer. He always shows up, gives good pricing. He's great with my clients. He preaches customer service. Him and I mastermind together, and he gives me referrals. He gives me referrals. You get more referrals for your roof stuff, right? It's this beautiful circle. Now, the moment that someone breaks that chain in my world, I have a conversation with them, right? And they break it twice, we have to move on. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else wants to achieve? Lots of great answers so far.
I've been writing more handwritten notes.
Mm-hmm.
That's been very helpful.
Okay. Tell us about that.
The second letter, a follow-up, if it's an appointment, or I ran into them at a restaurant. I just
Okay.
write a letter saying how nice it was to see them, our conversation was great, and I remind them what I do.
Sure. You got
Ask for the referral.
absolutely. Have you guys heard about Gene Rivers? Didn't he speak here last year?
Yeah.
Love that guy, right? Learned a lot from him. One of my favorite things that I've learned from him is, if you guys remember his title about the employment enrichment